You're 32 with a career, responsibilities, maybe even a family. But one piece of criticism makes your entire world implode. Your partner forgets an important date, and you give the silent treatment for days. Your boss gives feedback, and you either rage or shut down. Here's the truth. Chronological age means nothing if your emotional operating system runs on childhood software. This discrepancy between our physical growth and emotional development is one of the more puzzling aspects of human psychology. We can be 55 on the outside and 4.5 in terms of our impulses and manner of communicating, just as we can be on the threshold of adulthood physically, while an emotional sage within. This isn't inspiration, it's a diagnostic reality check. I'll show you the 3 behaviors that prove emotional immaturity and how to fix them to unlock the power and confidence adulthood promised. Most importantly, I'll give you the exact diagnostic question that reveals your emotional age instantly. Sign 1. The silent treatment trap. That's silent treatment when you're hurt. It's emotional manipulation disguised as pride. You simultaneously get very upset while refusing to explain to the person who has upset you what the problem might actually be. The insult to your pride and dignity feels too great. You are too internally fragile to reveal that you've been knocked. You expect someone to magically read your mind like a parent anticipating a child's needs. Rather, as an infant who hasn't yet mastered language might hope for a parent to guess their needs. Your pride prevents vulnerability and clear communication. Stop the silence. Start direct explanation. Silence creates distance instead of resolution. Instead of sulking for days when your partner forgets your anniversary, say, "When you forgot our date, it made me feel unimportant." That's the shift from emotional childhood to adulthood. The power to simply describe why you are upset to the person who's upset you. Sign 2. The rage response. That explosive anger when you feel criticized. Another response is to get extremely and disproportionately angry with the disappointing person. That rage isn't power. It's a mask for helplessness. Your fury may look powerful, but no one who felt powerful would have any need for such titanic rage. Inside, you feel broken, at sea, and bereft, but your only way of reasserting control is to mimic an aggrieved emperor or taunted tiger. Your outbursts attempt to reassert control through force because underneath, you feel defenseless. The insults and viciousness are in their coded ways admissions of terror and defenselessness. Your pain is profoundly poignant. Your manner of dealing with it a good deal sadder. True power doesn't need to shout. The mature alternative is staying measured, sometimes taking a delayed response. The mature person knows that robust self-assertion is always an option down the line. This gives them the confidence not to need to shout immediately, to give others the benefit of every doubt, and not to assume the worst and hit back with undue force. When your boss gives critical feedback, say, "I need time to process this. Can we continue tomorrow?" The moment you feel that flush of fire, you say, "I hear you, and I am going to draft my full response tomorrow." That pause comes from self-worth. Knowing your value isn't destroyed by feedback. The mature like themselves enough not to suspect that everyone would have a good reason to mock and slander them. Sign 3. The emotional freeze. The emotional freeze. Going numb in response to hurt. You pretend indifference when you're most vulnerable. It's a defense against admitting someone has power over your emotional state. It takes a lot of courage to admit to someone who's hurt us that we care, that they have a power over us, that a key bit of our life is in their hands. For many, that exposure feels intolerable, so you shut down entirely. It may be a lot easier to put up a strenuous wall of indifference at precisely the moment when you are most emotionally vulnerable to a loved one's behavior. You insist that you haven't noticed a slight and wouldn't give a damn anyway. You might tell yourself you're being strong, but you're avoiding being emotionally alive. You may not simply be pretending. Remaining in touch with your wounds may have become conclusively intolerable. Not feeling anything may have replaced the enormous threat of being fully alive. Think about when your partner pulls away. The mature response: I've noticed you've been distant, and it's making me anxious. The emotional freeze response: you match their energy. You become more distant. This isn't strength, it's emotional cowardice disguised as independence. Human connection requires tolerable risk. The mature alternative is embracing emotional risk as strength. The mature know and have made their peace with the idea that being close to anyone will open them up to being hurt. They feel enough inward strength to possess a tolerable relationship with their own weakness. They are unembarrassed enough by their emotional nakedness to tell even the person who has apparently humiliated them that they are in need of help. It's saying, "This matters to me. You matter to me." That vulnerability builds trust and intimacy. They trust ultimately that there is nothing wrong with their tears and that they have the right to find someone who will know how to bear them in turn. The rewire. Building your emotional operating system. These patterns aren't moral failures. They're learned skills gaps. You're not broken. You never developed the emotional operating system adulthood requires. These three responses, silence, rage, and freeze, are pointers in turn to the three cardinal virtues of emotional maturity: communication, trust, and vulnerability. Emotional literacy is a foreign language that some people grew up hearing fluently. These three virtues were either gifted to us during a warm and nourishing childhood, or else we will need to learn them arduously as adults. This is akin to the difference between growing up speaking a foreign language and having to learn it over many months as an adult. The comparison at least gives us an impression of the scale of the challenge ahead of us. If you didn't have that training, you're facing adult language immersion. There is nothing to be ashamed of about your possible present ignorance. At least half of us weren't brought up in the land of emotional literacy. We may just never have heard adults around us speaking an emotionally mature dialect. Like any complex skill, it takes practice. Think about the 10,000-hour rule. Emotional fluency requires similar effort. We may, despite our age, need to go right back to school and spend 5,000 to 10,000 hours learning with great patience and faith the beautiful and complex grammar of the language of emotional adulthood. So, what does this new operating system actually look like? It starts with the three virtues to practice: communication instead of silence, the capacity to explain; trust instead of rage, the capacity to stay calm; vulnerability instead of freezing, the capacity to be vulnerable. Your starting point is recognizing these patterns without shame. Notice the silent treatment. Catch rage before explosion. Acknowledge emotional freezing. That awareness is 80% of the battle. Then practice alternative responses, like muscle memory. You'll feel awkward at first, but with repetition, it becomes natural. Neuroplasticity means you can relearn emotional responses at any age. Your brain's architecture can be reshaped. This isn't fixing something broken. It's building what was never constructed. Conclusion. True maturity means choosing response over reaction every time. It's the space between trigger and action where growth happens. Your emotional age isn't fixed. It's yours to rebuild, starting now. This work of emotional translation is the most important work you will ever do. It transforms every relationship, every challenge, and your entire experience of being alive. You move from being a victim of your reactions to the architect of your responses. This week, notice one pattern. When you want to freeze, rage, or go silent, make one different choice. That single conscious choice, repeated, is how you build momentum. That's how you rewrite your emotional operating system. Start small. Pick one idea that resonated with you. Test it, refine it, and make it yours. And one more thing. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.